I used to think love could only survive when two people were physically close. That if you couldn't see each other often, if you couldn't hold each other when life got heavy, then maybe it wasn't real love. But then life tested me. The person I loved most, Jenny, had to move away, and I had to learn what it truly means to love across distance. When Jenny first told me she had to move, my heart sank. She had dreams to pursue, and I couldn't be there with her. In that moment, we faced the hardest choice: to let go or to try long distance. Most people will tell you it's too hard, that it almost never works. And part of me agreed. But another part of me realized something: real love doesn't just exist when circumstances are perfect. It's a decision, a choice you make, knowing full well the risks. That night, Jenny and I decided to try. We told each other, let's not give up before we even begin. The days before she left felt like a countdown. Every moment mattered more than ever. We walked slower, held longer, laughed louder, as if we were trying to bottle up every memory to carry into the months ahead. And still beneath the laughter, there was fear of the unknown. Goodbyes are strange. They remind you how deeply you love someone, but they also make you realize how fragile it all feels. On our last evening together, Jenny and I sat in silence for long minutes. Not because we had nothing to say, but because everything felt too big to fit into words. Parting wasn't just about emotions. We also had to set boundaries. Who would call when? How often would we video chat? What would trust look like while apart? At first it felt unnatural, almost unromantic to talk about rules. But looking back, I understood something: without boundaries, love across distance easily crumbles. It wasn't about controlling each other, it was about protecting what we had from the storms we knew were coming. Then the day came when she actually left. Suddenly the routines of my life felt empty. I couldn't just wake up and text her, "Let's meet for lunch." I couldn't pass by her house on the way home. The silence of her absence was deafening. Instead of grieving, I threw myself into constant contact. I messaged her every hour, called her every night, updated her on every little thing. What I ate, where I was, even random thoughts that crossed my mind. In a way, I was pretending nothing had changed. I wanted to keep the illusion that we were still side by side. But deep down, I was in denial. Reality had changed, and no amount of texts could erase that truth. The realization hit me one afternoon. Out of habit, I picked up my phone to text Jenny, "Want to grab coffee?" And then it struck me she wasn't here anymore. I couldn't just show up and see her smile. That absence felt like a heavy emptiness. I sat there with my phone in hand, staring at the screen, realizing that the comfort of her presence was no longer a given. It was painful, but it also forced me to adapt. I couldn't depend on Jenny to fill every quiet space in my life anymore. I had to grow stronger, more independent, and more intentional with my time. Long distance was forcing me to become my own anchor. But then came jealousy. And jealousy in long distance is a beast of its own. One day, Jenny posted a photo with her new classmates at the beach. They looked happy, laughing, surrounded by sunshine. Meanwhile, I was sitting in my room eating dinner alone, missing her so much that even food had lost its taste. I kept staring at that photo, zooming in on her smile, my chest tightening with every second. That afternoon, I couldn't take it anymore. I called her once. No answer. Twice. Still nothing. I ended up calling her more than 10 times, desperately hoping she would pick up, desperately needing to hear her voice. But she didn't. In that silence, my mind filled with the darkest thoughts. I felt invisible, abandoned, like maybe she was already moving on without me. I sat in my dark room, tears streaming down my face, wondering if I had made a huge mistake. Long distance wasn't just about missing someone. It was about battling the monsters in your head when they weren't there to reassure you. That night felt endless. I stared at the ceiling, checked my phone every 5 minutes, and fought the weight of my fears. It wasn't until the next morning that Jenny finally called me back. She explained she had left her phone in her bag during the trip and hadn't seen my missed calls. Her voice was calm, gentle, apologetic. The tension in my chest eased a little, but the wound of that night stayed with me. That was the first time I truly realized how fragile long-distance trust could be. And then came doubt, the hardest stage of all. Jealousy still means you care. Doubt makes you wonder if the entire thing is worth it. I began to ask myself, is this really going anywhere? Are we just pretending? What if all this effort ends in heartbreak anyway? In those moments, I remembered a conversation with my cousin. He had been in a long-distance relationship years before. He told me something I never forgot. The real danger of long-distance love is that words become cheap. Anyone can say, "I miss you," when they don't have to back it up with action. The only thing that matters is whether they're willing to pay the cost of action. He shared his story. He was working in the United States. His girlfriend moved to France to study and build her career in advertising. At first, their love felt unshakable. They called every night, sent long messages, promised forever. But slowly, reality changed. She became busier with her classes and her new life. The visits never happened. The plans were always postponed. And in the end, all he had were words, no actions. He looked at me and said, "That's when you know the truth. Real love shows up in the flight booked, the schedule rearranged, the sacrifices made. If those never come, maybe the love wasn't as strong as it sounded." Those words echoed in my head during my own season of doubt. And I asked myself, are Jenny and I both paying the cost of action? To my relief, the answer was yes. Jenny, even with her busy schedule, still made time to visit me, and I, in return, made sacrifices to be with her. It wasn't easy. Flights were expensive, time was limited, schedules were packed, but every action reminded us that our love was more than just words on a screen. That's when I realized what validation truly means. It's not about hearing "I love you." It's about feeling it through actions, through sacrifices, through choices made again and again. Looking back now, I see how much I grew because of it. Long-distance relationships are not easy. They test you with jealousy, with doubt, with silence and absence. They stretch your patience and amplify your fears. They force you to question whether your heart is strong enough to keep believing. But they also give you the chance to grow stronger, more independent, and more certain of what you truly want. Because in the end, love isn't proven by how often you say it. It's proven by how far you're willing to go and how much you're willing to give for the person you've chosen. And if you find yourself choosing each other again and again, even when it's hard, then maybe distance isn't your enemy at all. Maybe distance is the very thing that makes your love unshakable. So if you're in a long-distance relationship right now, ask yourself this: are you both willing to pay the cost of action? If the answer is yes, then you might just discover that your love can survive anything, even the miles between you.